parents and grandparents of the next generation of the Church of Jesus Christ, I know that's who I'm probably talking to. I want you to share that I believe in this generation that God has never forsaken his seed on earth. And it's good to know this. Be of good cheer. God is not done with humanity. Although our children are exposed to some really toxic stuff out there, they can also be exposed to the best worship, the best teachers of the Word of God, the best conferences from all over the globe. So I want you to be hopeful. Now, getting back to the teacher of the subject needs to know their subject. So I will take you on my own journey. As I share with you, I was getting a degree. My professor would talk about these things, and I'd be like, sure, whatever. So I decided to take it into my own hands and specifically design an exercise to identify my feelings and to be able to express them. So being very pragmatic, I created what has become known as the feelings exercise for me. I started to write my feelings in the present tense and in the first time I felt that feeling. So I felt calm. I first remember feeling calm. And I just picked feelings randomly on a list, and it helped me to identify my emotional environment. I needed to be the teacher of myself before I could teach my daughter or my son or tens of thousands of other people, okay? Then I went to communicating these. So my spouse and I would do these 2 feelings a day every day. I added some guidelines so it would never get negative, and there was like no examples about each other, maintain eye contact, no feedback. That kept us safe, and it kept us being able to do it for decades. And this really helped me develop emotionally because I could identify it, I could communicate it. Now, later, it was important not to just identify, but to actually feel the feeling, expand the feeling, contract the feeling, and to be able to switch a feeling at will. So I would never have to be controlled by a feeling. I need to be controlled by the Spirit of God. I need his Spirit to control me, not my feelings. And all these tools are in the Emotional Fitness book, and you can teach yourself, your family, others, start a group. We Healing Time really encourage people to help other people. And we want you to learn this because we want you to break the multi-generational lack of knowledge on this, okay? For 1,000 years in your gene pool, almost nobody knew how to identify and communicate feelings. You can be the answer to that. You can break that lack of knowledge and move your future generations into being able to be emotionally fit. It really does make a difference. You know, when Hadassah can come up and tell me exactly how she's feeling about something, and I know it's just feelings, and I need to be able to process them with her. Now imagine your children seeing you and your spouse talk about your feelings in a mature way instead of stuffing them down, then blowing up and acting immature. When you role model emotional fitness in your marriage, you give your children a template to guide them into having emotional conversations, staying calm, understanding it's just a feeling, feelings aren't truth or facts. And you give them a template for them to be able to do this because you have learned this yourself. So before you can teach your kids, I strongly recommend you look into your own skill and get those really up to speed. Now, I've taught thousands of people these skills all over the world, okay? And they had little or no prior experience on feelings. I can't tell you how many people have looked at me when I said feelings. They looked at me like, what are you talking about, Dr. Weiss? Now, it takes time, like anything, to learn a skill, to become emotionally fit. And you can teach yourself. These skills improve your life and all your relationships so very much. It's so nice to be able to, when you want to be, to open up and be authentic, share your feelings. I mean, if you could choose between being in a relationship with someone who is emotionally immature or mature, which one would you choose? Now, who do you want to be in that relationship? Do you want to be the person who's emotionally mature or immature? I also find that teens who are more emotionally mature seek out more mature relationships. They don't want to be blamed and scapegoated and and hurt and yelled at and abused and treated like they're nothing, because they have value. And you can make a difference in that. So I encourage you to start today. I believe this in so much. If you send an email to Healing Times and you ask for the free feelings list, I'll get you started right away, whether you buy the book or not, okay? But it'll get to you instantly. The book will take a little while to get to you. But you can start doing the feelings exercise with yourself or with your spouse, and you can start getting on this. Now, this is really helpful for you, and I would say get at least a month or two into this before you start doing the things we're going to talk about in the next segment, which is moving towards your kids. Now, this is important, and you're gonna point to a feeling. You're gonna do, I feel blank when, I first remember feeling blank when, and you're gonna do this with your spouse or someone else if your spouse is unwilling. Doesn't matter. Having someone to practice with is really important. Now, I will tell you, if you do it with your spouse, it's a really good thing. It's really good for your spouse to know your heart. Today I felt this, today I felt that. It's really important for you to hear their heart, because if you can hear their heart, oftentimes they don't have to keep amplifying and getting angry so that you eventually have that 2 o'clock in the morning deep heart-to-heart conversation that you could have had at 8 o'clock for 5 minutes instead of a 4-hour blowout and then having it at 2 o'clock in the morning. And if you know what I'm talking about, there's a chance your relationship needs some emotional fitness. And that is what you want to pass down to your generations.
For more content and resources to help in your healing journey with Christ, make sure to follow Dr. Doug Weiss on Facebook and Instagram. If you'd like to share full episodes of this show with friends and family, subscribe to Healing Time Ministries on YouTube, and feel free to leave us a comment on any of Dr. Doug's social media platforms. Our team would love to hear your feedback and learn how Healing Time is impacting your life, your church, and your ministry.